Hey, Karen, I've got the governor. Are we good to go now?
If we can have just 1 minute, please. I think we are. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, I would like to call to order today's meeting of the Nevada Commission on Homeland Security order. Could I ask the clerk to take the roll, please?
Good morning, everyone. Governor Sisolak,
Here.
Sheriff Lombardo,
Here.
Sheriff Balaam, is that Sheriff Balaam? We'll wait. Lisa Christensen. Todd Fasulo.
Here.
Thank you. Mitch Fox.
Here.
General Gonzalez.
Present.
Dr. Khan.
Present.
Chief Moore. Chief, I see you on the line. Okay, we'll note that Chief Moore is on the call. He might just be having audio difficulties. Richard Perkins.
Here.
Thank you. Chief Steinbeck.
Here.
Rosemary Vasiliadis. Patricia Wade. Bill Welch.
Present.
Karen Burke.
Present.
Gonzalo Cordova.
Present.
Chris Ibsen. Chief Ogerson.
Present.
Sean Romeyer. And Aaron Rouse. And Katie Brady for the record.
Present.
Thank you. Governor, you do have quorum.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 2, public comment. This is the first time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item on the agenda, please step forward, identify yourself for the record, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment?
Sir, we have no written public comment, and I'm not aware of anyone on the line.
I'll give it a second. Do we have anyone online? Okay, moving on, close public comment, move on to item number 3, approval of the minutes. So we've had a chance to review the minutes. Do we have any discussion or a motion on the minutes?
Dr. Khan, so moved to approve.
We have a motion from Dr. Khan. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 4, report on the statewide adoption of the National Incident Management System. Chief Ogerson.
Thank you, Governor. Dave Fogerson for the record. A couple updates. We have done a after action review from California and Nevada for the Caldor fire incident, and we're just awaiting for that report to come back from the Centers for Homeland Defense and Security. We're the ones who coordinated it for us. We're also going to do a after action review of the move up and cover assignments we did using the NIM system from Clark County resources up to the Kyle Basin for that Caldor fire as well. Continuing with our training efforts, we are working also on the agreement with California to reimburse Nevada for our costs incurred from the Caldor incident. That is, we sent them a rough draft. We still have one county that has not provided their cost estimates to us yet, so we can't tell them how much it is yet, and we can't be reimbursed until that county provides us a cost estimate that we're working with. And the last thing is that through our training efforts, we do have our first qualified commander for the type 3 incident management team that's required under NRS for DM to host. It's been 3 years in the making, and I'm proud to announce that the first incident commander of our all hazard type 3 team is actually a Nevada State Police trooper. It's kind of nice to see that it's not a firefighter, because normally when we talk NIMS, you see fire service personnel, but in this case, we actually have a trooper sergeant that is the first to be qualified through the all hazard system. That's the end of report, and pending any questions, sir.
Do we have any questions of Chief Fogerson regarding the National Incident Management System? Hearing none. That's a discussion item. Moving on to item number 5, discussion on federal fiscal year 2022 strategic and emerging capacities to be maintained. Chief Fogerson.
Thank you, Governor. Dave Fogerson again for the record. In your package, you do have the current year strategic capacities to be maintained and the emerging capacities. These were taken through the Nevada Resilience Advisory Commission, the Homeland Security Commission, and then the Finance Subcommittee of this commission for last year. We're going to begin that process again shortly, so I wanted to daylight them here with this group that this is what we're currently working under, and we'll go through that same process to bring it back to the NRAC, and then we'll take it to the Finance Subcommittee, then we'll take it back to the commission for final approval before we open the grants up. Just want to make sure everybody has eyes on these, and if you have any comments or questions about them, please let me know so we can bring back to the NRAC and we can start the discussion there.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Do we have any questions or comments regarding the fiscal year 2022 strategic emerging capacities?
Hey, Governor, Sheriff Lombardo.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Chief Ferguson, as far as the Finance Committee, who will be scheduling that? Will Karen Hall handle that, or how will we become aware of that in the process?
Yeah, we'll use the normal process we have been. Karen is the admin assistant assigned or the management analyst assigned to this commission. So she'll let you know when that committee or when that meeting gets scheduled. It'll be after the NRAC meetings. That way the NRAC can have the big discussions, and then we can do the move to the Finance Subcommittee for the next level of approvals.
Do you know when the NRAC meeting is?
We'll probably schedule one for January. There's one on the books now for March, but just to get ahead of the process, I'll probably schedule one for January. So that way we can probably just look at just these items alone for consideration and deliberation. And
Okay.
so we'll do the Finance Subcommittee following that.
All right, I just wanted to make sure it's sooner than later because I remember the last cycle, we were down to like a week or two and we had to rush through some decision points. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Yes, sir, Governor. This is John Steinbeck. I have a question for Chief Fogerson. Chief, so we're doing a lot of the after action reporting, which will be ongoing, but after action reporting for the pandemic response. Do you see an opportunity for some of the areas that we need improvement from that to be included in this next round of financing, specifically with some of the gaps we had in health and not only in hospital capacity, but certainly in tracking. I mean, that was a nightmare for everybody that the last couple of years. I know we built some capacity, but I just want to make sure that we have an opportunity to really address some of those gaps that we're going to uncover through some of this process.
Chief Dave Fogerson for record, absolutely agreed, sir. That I think last year we were a little ahead of the game by putting that, maintaining the health component as an emerging threat that we needed to look at was part of that. And I think this year now we start looking at not only the THIRA, because the THIRA, the threat hazard identification risk assessment looks at the emergency management side, but also the Homeland Security enterprise part of what we're talking about here and what components we need to bring forward those after action reviews. That's where I see NRAC. It's a little larger, more inclusive group. So I think they can have some better discussions because they'll hit the entire enterprise that we need to talk about and bring back ideas for this committee or this commission to do some final deliberations and approvals on. The other thing we also got to make sure of is some of these programs we want to make sure continue forever. And so it's kind of a balancing act based upon the monies that are provided. How do we make sure that we continue to do those essential services we know we must continue and then add in those other items? We're working with Homeland Security right now because they're going to do a new cybersecurity grant process as well. So some of those funding streams might be a place to move some stuff that we've got on the current program on over to that program and free up some funds for those new emergency programs as we move forward. So absolutely, that's we got to look at the whole enchilada and see how it all works out.
Thank you,
Any
Chief.
further questions? Chief Steinbeck, did that answer yours? You good?
It did, and I'll work with Chief Fogerson and Chief Samuels further on that. Governor, I want to make sure that, those capacities that we've built over these last couple of years are sustainable. Specifically, you're well aware of some of the problems we had with tracking. We had some excellent exercises before the pandemic that the health agencies had done that showed biological attacks, and the exercises went very well. And then some of the tracking, it just wasn't there when it came about, right? And so I want to work with them to make sure that for whatever's else is coming down the pike that we're not aware of, we're not going to have those same problems, that we can go ahead and distribute things out of the strategic national stockpile and know who we've given it to and who we haven't given it to. I think that data capture is still one of the biggest challenges here in the South and throughout the state.
Good point. Sheriff Lombardo, you good with this?
Yes, this Sheriff Lombardo for the record. Yes, I am, but I don't understand why this is always continually to be a big lift, John. It seemed like it'd just be an easy check and balance system that we would put in place. So I'd be interested in how we're going to fix it.
You and me both, Sheriff. So I agree, but I think that just what we find is that what some agencies think they're prepared for, they are operationally, and then sometimes they're just not in some of their other areas, logistics, and certainly information gathering is always our hardest part, right? Sheriff, even if we go back to some of the work that we've done since 1 October in trying to gather information from the hospitals is key. If we were to have a mass attack, you see these attacks that we've had throughout the country these last couple of weeks, they make me sick. And then I start thinking about, are we better at finding who those people are today than we were back then? I believe so, but I still think there's going to be some gaps, and I just want to continue to utilize these cycles to try to test those. We've had more overturn at all of our hospitals than ever before. So there's going to be, people that you think are trained, they're not trained. They just got here last week. And so there's a lot of work to do, sir.
All right, thank you, John. And it's not just the hospital community, it's the first responders too, their turnover. That's why it should be politicized.
Governor, this is Bill Welch. I'd just like to point out to John, and I know that you're fully aware of this, but through these times with COVID, the hospitals have developed a fairly robust, through the leadership of the governor and his staff, of hospital bed counts, patient types counts, availability of equipment, the various types of beds, and those are submitted daily to the state as well as to the federal government. I can't speak to the resources as far as any of the equipment and supplies that might be stockpiled, but as far as from a daily standpoint, that data is being tracked by the hospitals. It has been since probably April of last year and is being reported.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Governor, if I can respond to that, sir. We are better, and those reports that are coming in are excellent. I still have a few doubts on, when instead of, a trickle in that it's 150 people, 200 people, 300 people, 1,000 people that are coming through the door. We know there's going to be a fog of war at that point in time, but then understanding which patients were at the event, which ones weren't, getting that type of information out, and then the willingness to share that information between agencies. we go all the way back to 9/11 on that, right, sir? So 9/11, a sharing of information, you think it's better, then you have an incident. And then during that incident, you find out that there's still walls, and those walls are built behind things, normally, they can be behind HIPAA, they can be behind just different policies. They can be just because there's new people in place. So we think we've addressed that pretty well with some of the laws that we passed a couple of years ago, and then some of the work that Dave's been working on. But I want to test it. I want to test it. And I want to be able to sit here and say we're 100% ready. And I think that's what this commission's for.
Governor, this is Bill Welch again, and I'd concur with that, John. And I know that after October 1st, there was some challenges in sharing that information about where the patients were coming from, et cetera. But I do know that there was a fairly concerted effort between all the agencies in the hospital community in trying to work through how to improve that system. But certainly, we are very supportive of working with everyone to make sure that the ways managed will help meet the needs.
Thank you, Bill. That's all I have, Governor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, before I move on to public comment, which is our last item, have we had anybody else join the conversation after we took the roll so we can have an accurate record?
Governor, this is Chief Moore. Just for the record, I did fix my audio problem.
Okay, we got Chief Moore. Anyone else join since we took the roll call? I guess not. Okay, then I'll move on to item number 6, public comment. This is the second time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item, please step forward, identify yourself for the record, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment? Do we have any board member comment?
Governor, this is Chief Steinbeck again. Sorry, I'm taking up a lot of the meeting here, but just public comment. We have New Year's Eve, of course, coming up. Just want to thank the state for the assets that we get, the continued presence of the Nevada National Guard here on the pandemic, but specifically with New Year's Eve, those assets that we're going to utilize again, those are very important to us, and we want to thank you and thank the state and make sure that those are available to us in the future.
You're very welcome. We understand the complexity of that. I do from my time in Clark County, so we're glad to participate and help out any way we can. Anybody else? Seeing no one, item number 7 is adjourned. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Everybody have a nice Christmas.
Yeah, have a great Christmas. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.